Peace is a lie. There is only healing. So that was a niche reference for the Sith Code in Star Wars. Knights of the Old Republic, and I thought it would just be kind of funny to show it that way. So, today is, I guess, like a really pink day. That's what we were feeling. We're feeling pink, I guess. It's kind of coming up as like purple. Excuse me. But the lights are like pink right now. I actually did like gold and like a dark red for my look, but nails are pink. We're doing pink right now. This is kind of the vibe for today. So I'm trying to like embody that a little bit, like the feminine. I'm listening to some feminine music, divine feminine healing music, because girl, you know we be healing our divine feminine energy. So today we are here to talk about that peace comes after healing, that there's this sort of land that we get to, this destination we get to after we sort of healed and gone through a process where we've like alchemized our trauma and we've like went through the experience and we reclaimed our power and, we get through the trauma and then we're good and we're like empowered and we feel like more at peace and blah, blah, blah. And, I think that, or if you want to even put it even more grounded, we can say that, there are like you go to therapy, you do some sort of like specific modality or practice or something, and you move through the trauma and you're healed, or you take medication and then like your body chemistry evens out to what everyone else is supposed to be or something, and then you're good, you're healed. And this, I think, often a lot of us kind of get caught up in, especially with the framing around healing as medicine, where, we relapse or we have some sort of illness that can be cured, right? We have like some sort of disease that has a cure and that you're fully cured. And that you go into remission or relapse when like, things are bad, like experiences come up. And I think you can really just frame it as a way of like healing is something that happens and then like you're good, you're back to baseline, you're back to normal. And not just like these are human experiences that we have to deal with over and over and that make a lot of sense, and that we don't really have to like medicalize it. It just kind of like is. And yeah, let me like jump into this a bit more. So because I'm May and I help people who are dealing with really hard experiences or are don't vibe with the medical model, don't vibe with feel like a deeper sense that they need, that there's something else that will kind of get them to where they want to go in their well-being journey. I help people who just have hard internal experiences like really understand how to deal with them. And as someone who is trained, as someone who has a lot of knowledge about ways conventional mental health works and also alternative ways to heal and deal with mental and emotional health and experiences. So, yeah, a lot of the times this is called the salvation fantasy, where we kind of feel like at some point we're going to be saved, right? It actually relates to the diagram of like bully. It's like, what is it? Bully. savior, and then victim, where the bully is like the mental health experiences or emotional health experiences. We're the victims, right? Experiencing those, and there's like the savior thing, right? Like we're gonna be saved from these experiences. It also is like such a disservice, I feel like, to these parts of ourselves, to kind of like conceptualize them as things to just like move through and like get rid of, right? I played a video game recently called Celeste, and I loved it. Like the story was really, really good. I'm not gonna spoil it, but I feel like it really like shows how media so often gets wrong, and the framing around how to heal often so gets wrong with the we need to move through it, get over it, and then move past it, rather than like working with it and befriending it and like continuously guiding these wounded, hurt parts of ourselves towards what we want. And like, I guess I don't view it as salvation, because things do get easier, I feel like, the more you practice this, but it's never like this like land you kind of get to, right? It gets easier, or like new stuff comes up and you kind of have to go through the process again. But it's the more you practice, the better you get at it, right? I'm jumping all over the place, but I have a I have a little script, so we'll go through the whole thing and you'll understand. But yeah, so this can often be called the salvation fantasy, where we feel like we're gonna be saved, and that there's this endpoint where everything's fixed. This endpoint where like we're healed, we're good. A lot of people actually talk about this too, when they're like, "You're healed." Like, are you healed or not? Don't get into a relationship until you're healed, which I feel like is like kind of terrible advice, to be honest. That's just me. Because I think what I value a lot more, and what I think shows like true maturity is like, how are you working with these hard experiences, right? How are you, like, I know that whatever comes up and shows up in my body and mind, like, I am helping myself to not let it control me, and for me to digest that information, digest these feelings and experiences, and then move towards what I want to move towards, right? And do I see other people around me try and do the same thing? And not say, oh, there is no negative, there's only positive, right? Because healed and unhealed, in my opinion, just isn't it isn't it's not specific enough. It's like, how are they dealing with those experiences, and is this person acting in ways that are are healed and unhealed? It's like, what are their actions? What are their actions saying? What are they saying? Are they doing those things that they're saying? So anyway, this shift though from like salvation and like healing is a lot less sexier to sell though, which is why a lot of people don't do it. A lot of things will, I'm just putting back on my music because this shit is good. A lot of different, the marketing advice is to sell the vacation, right? Like, you're selling the end point and not the process to get there. And in my view, this just doesn't work with mental health, because I think this is what gets people trapped a lot in this cycle, or triangle if you want to say too, the cycle of the triangle of the bully, victim, savior. And then when that doesn't work for them, I feel like it disempowers a lot of people. I feel like it and in a medical system that has very much power over, right? Rather than working with. But when people don't, they try the treatments or whatever, and then things don't really shift for them, it doesn't work, it can kind of feel like, what the heck, am I wrong, am I something wrong with me, basically, am I unfixable, right? And I think this reason doesn't work with mental health is because there is no sort of end point, right? Because it's life, right? I think that's like my main point in this video, is that there is no specific endpoint of healing. I think there's like times where, you know, you work a lot and things can get a lot easier because you are able to work with your body, your mind, your emotions, your inner parts so much easier than you were before, because you get it. You have the skills, tool sets, knowledge, right? Knowledge of yourself, knowledge of the world, knowledge of science, of how the body heals and works. You know, you get to a point where it's a lot easier, but I still don't feel like it's like a paradise land, because like things come up for you still, right? Like things just still happen. I know some people don't like the kind of framework of managing because it still kind of feels disempowering, and I agree with that. But you know, another way to look at it is managing, like managing our internal experiences, rather than them managing us, right? But again, this isn't sexy. Take this pill, do this treatment, and then you feel a lot better. Your life will come back. And sometimes this does happen for people, because sometimes there is, right, that chemical imbalance, that sort of genetic, whatever it is. I get it because I've been there and just know other people where there is something genetic, or there is something, you know, like chemical imbalance going on. But that's not the end all be all. It is just like one step, right? I kind of view it as shifting the foundation, and not like it's, you can either view it as like one step at the beginning or the cherry on top, I feel like, where it's like that is not the end all be all. What is the end all be all is how you show up in your life and how you manage your life. That that's where the true healing, you know, shifting actually happens. Not when we're at this paradise land, right? Because we've taken a pill or something. Is also this sort of thing where people can, you know, really view negative experiences something to like run away from or not really have, rather than move through them, right? A lot of the times the way we relate to our internal experiences has to do with the survival state, right? We're either like fighting against our experiences, or running away from them, or we're freezing and doing nothing, right? You know, some like freezing depression, flight anxiety, fight anger, right? Or abuse even. So I feel like the nuance here really comes in, where it's like it's not really like you're in one place and you get to the other. It's kind of like life ebbs and flows, but it gets like you ebb and flow much easier, and you don't feel as low because you're able to kind of catch it and, you know, try to guide yourself through. And if you do feel low, you're able to guide yourself through those low points, right? Because there's just, it's so multifaceted, because there is science around changing your body, right? Like neuroscience, neuroplasticity, nervous system work. Like you can change your baseline. You can change how your brain and body reacts to certain experiences. And you can get to a point where your body and brain don't react the same. It's not as intense, it's not as negative. And at the same time, like life is life. Contrast exists, you know, high and low, positive and negative. So it's never this like that's still going to exist. That's still going to happen. Those the body remembers, the body keeps the score. That kind of stuff is still going to be inside you. So you can change your dominant response. You can kind of change where your baseline is, but there's still going to be things and times where you don't feel good, because that's life, right? And so often we as people who have mental health and emotional health, negative experiences, we have to take care of ourselves more. We have a different way that we need to take care of ourselves, a different way of us showing up in the world, you know, in order for us to be gentle and good with ourselves. Like, if you watched my previous video, I just had a video where I explained kind of this trigger that I was going through, and then it took me 2 days really to kind of move through, and now I'm in this place where I feel like I'm not spiraling. Like before I would have just spiraled over it, right? It would have been like a week or 2 weeks of me like trying to deal with this negative emotion or whatever, and instead I was able to really catch it early, and I was like, okay, let me just like sit with this. I'm gonna, not let this control me, and I'm going to feel these feelings and experiences and continue to try to move forward into where I want to be. And I was still kind of going in and out of like believing the story and not believing the story. That's kind of like my thing. But once the emotion like kind of moves through and my nervous system gets to a different place, I never feel that way because I know that these stories, narratives, live in a certain nervous system state that is triggered by emotions and just experiences and blah blah blah. I feel like how you get there is by trying to create peace, right, in your current moment. And this is like, I feel like this is, stick with me here, okay? If you've heard this before and you're like, stop trying to bypass my negative experiences, stick with me because it's not what I'm offering and not what I'm trying to do here. Because this is what I feel like I really want to help people with is like moving, not sticking, not sticking, feeling stuck, or being in things that they don't want to be in. I want to help move people towards joy and happiness and fulfillment, but not in a way that is bypassing, not in a way that is this sort of a salvation fantasy, right? Not a fantasy, reality. Reality is important to be in. So how now you might have heard me say a few moments ago that it's important, like trying to bring peace into your current moment. And you might tell me, May, there are no moments of peace. You know what my life is like? Which I will say, yes, a flavor of what you experience, I probably have experienced. How your experience shows up, though, is yours, and it's no one else's, right? What I know is that I've had experiences. I've had panic attacks for days, right? I've had anxiety that lasts hours and hours, and not being able to move through it, not being able to move past it. I relate to that experience. I've had it before. And I want to tell you a little bit about a wonderful person named Deb Dana, who does a lot of translating science about the nervous system into language that providers can kind of understand and tell people, because they're a lot of this work is taking like little shifts and little moments and amplifying them and trying to kind of like conjure around these experiences. I'm going to explain what that means. So there's a lot to dive into when it comes to the nervous system. There's a lot to dive into when it comes to adaptina, and we're not going to dive into all of it. For this specific purpose, we're going to talk about a specific concept called glimmers, right? That was my cat. She's like, get off of this. So glimmers refer to small moments when our biology is in a place of connection and regulation, which cues our nervous system to feel safe and calm. And we're not talking about a great big experience, right? Like, we're not talking about you're feeling so joyous, so safe. And we're not talking about a very long experience either. These are micro moments that begin to shape our system in gentle ways. And I really want to empathize with you if you've heard that and you're just like, I don't experience anything like that right now in my current moment, because there was a time where I think I would have said the same thing. There was a year where I didn't feel any positive emotions, like quite genuinely, and it was really, really tough. And it was because I was going through psychosis and like all these other things, but there was a time where I genuinely could not feel joy and conjure it in my body, and anytime it came up, like I would just shut it down. So I really do want to like empathize with that and say that sometimes you have to look really, really, really specifically in like almost a microsecond. I'm gonna kind of show you how to do that and what that looks like. And kind of how you grow that and kind of how that's more of the work rather than like there's just some sort of land you get to where you don't have to do this work anymore. But sometimes we can really get into this all or nothing thinking of like none of those moments happen ever. When sometimes it does happen in this really, really, really tiny way. So for me, it was my cat. My cat was the only way I could experience positive emotions. I didn't feel any connection with anyone. I didn't feel any satisfaction when it came to my work or my studies or anything. It was really just my cat. When I was in connection with my cat, that was kind of the only time I could feel positive emotions. And so you might also feel this way when it comes to a TV show or when it comes to, like, think if there's any moments in your experience where there's, yeah, just like a moment of appreciation, you know, when you watch a show and you chuckle. And you might even think right now and you're like, there really is nothing. And I just kind of invite you to notice, like, you know, throughout your days, just kind of be aware of like, you know, do you end up laughing at some point? Do you feel like your nervous system calms down just a little bit, right? In one certain moment. Because that certain moment can be built upon, right? Because when we figure out what happened in that moment that caused you to feel regulated, we can use that as an anchor for more healing, for more regulation. A lot of people will say this too when they're like time in nature, because nature, you know, it's where we came from as humans, and it can feel really connecting to be with other beings, other plants, other animals. You can train yourself to notice these glimmers, right? And at least for me, that was kind of the only way out of my current experience, or that experience that was happening at the time where I didn't have any joy, was I had to kind of hold on to those moments of joy, right? And I had to really try to experience them in that moment and appreciate them, and then not be angry when they went away. Because sometimes we'll just get so angry about our current experience, right? And it actually keeps us stuck in that. And that's, again, especially if you're in this cycle of, you know, I'm angry about what's happening. I'm nervous because I think it's never going to change. You know, whatever kind of comes up, or I'm hopeless things are never going to change. It keeps us stuck in that experience, and it's not like anyone's fault, right? Like there's no one's fault when that happens, right? It's not like a personal flaw or anything. It's like when you're in that and you're in that cycle over and over, it's so much sexier to say, I have something to help you get out of that, right? I have this easy way out. And I think where you kind of get to a point where it can get easier is when you don't take the easy way out. You move through it. And moving through it is hard. Moving through it is actually the non-sexy, the like, like sometimes, if you ever just like listen to Brene Brown, you don't know who Brene Brown is. She's kind of like this shame vulnerability researcher, and I love Brene Brown because I feel like she really just tells it as it is, where she's like, this shit fucking sucks, like I hate doing this sometimes. And I feel that I'm like, I hate the healing process sometimes. And I think it's important to be honest about it, because actually trying to move through your experiences is tough. It feels gross sometimes. It feels uncomfortable. You have to face some really hard truths about yourself sometimes. It's not fun. It's not always fun. And it's not easy. And that's okay. That's the work. Because I know that when I face the contrast of this life, I also get the positives, right? I know that when I am able to move through life and focus less on what I don't want, I have the chance and ability to focus more on what I do want. And I have the chance to do that every single day. I feel like I'm kind of just rambling a lot. I hope this is kind of helpful. I tried to have a script. So, let's go back to that glimmer. So, say we have that like piece of we'll say connection with an animal, right? We want to strengthen that moment and kind of like either one, try to take that thing that helped you feel more regulated or peace or joy, whatever, see if we can bring that to other moments, or we just want to recall it so we can kind of go back to it. And the trick too is kind of knowing when to do that, right? Because sometimes you could do that and you're actually like kind of bypassing like what's going on. You're not really like dealing with the internal experiences, right? And it's sort of like, you know, holding the bad and the good, right? We're trying to move through the experience and also tell our bodies like, okay, it's okay. Everything's okay right now. So let me give you a concrete example of like how like moving from one piece and then going like, you know, just basically the whole process and like in a moment, right? This is like in a couple minute span. So like, or even just a minute, like if you're like quick with it, where you're triggered in the moment, right? Like something happens and you kind of take a pause, right? You stop doing what you're doing and you're like, okay, let me take a deep breath. Right? Because when you inhale, it activates the sympathetic nervous system, and when you exhale, it activates the parasympathetic, which is rest regulation. So you want to try to lengthen the exhale if you deal with anxiety. Anyway, I keep getting off track today. So you regulate nervous system, and you are like, okay, this is how I'm feeling right now. I'm feeling really anxious. I feel like I don't want to deal with this. I feel like I'm just done. I feel like I'm done. And you really honor that. You honor those parts. You feel them. You bring them up. You're like, okay, I get it. It's so much. And then once you bring that up and you're like, okay, this is how I feel, you know, you recall a moment with your animal and you think about that. You try to live in it. Your body doesn't know when it's real versus fake, right? So in your imagination, that's why you often feel in your body what's happening when you imagine things, because your body doesn't know the difference. So you conjure that up and you notice, okay, what happened inside of me? Did I feel any shifts? Did I feel a little more soothed or comforted? And you can hold that image in your mind as you go throughout the rest of the day, you know, and accept if there wasn't a big shift, right? Maybe you just shifted a little tiny bit to where like you're at here 100% anxiety and you moved a little bit just to 95, right? Or it shifted just for a second and it's like, okay. And then you take where you're at, you take care of yourself, you keep doing those deep breaths, you keep doing those grounding skills, right? That's the work. And what we're trying to kind of teach our bodies is the safety in that moment. And your body can come to eventually safety in that moment. But we got to get there, right? We got to teach it. We got to go through the process. So I hope that made sense of kind of how the salvation fantasy doesn't exist and how we have to continue to do that work of retraining our body and taking care of ourselves rather than having a pill or a treatment or some sort of modality, whatever it is, whatever. There's so many different things that say this will help cure your anxiety. And I just want to end too by saying there's nothing wrong with taking substances or really doing anything like that. I'm probably going to say that every single video because, girl, you know I'd be on my chamomile tea. Like, you know I'd be on my anxiety meds. Again, I view that as either the step and the foundation to move you towards where this work really can help you, you know, restructure your whole life, or the cherry on top, where it's like, okay, whew, I did the work, now I'm good. It's not the end all be all, it is just the beginning. Doing those sort of treatments and stuff, that's just the beginning. The real work is what you do day to day and moment to moment to help yourself. So, and if you have any resistance or just like negative feelings about all that, please just like, you know, sit with it. I feel like I get sad that there isn't a salvation fantasy like at least once a week. I used to like cry about it every single day, where because I was just in so much pain and so much darkness that I was like, if there isn't a salvation fantasy, like if I have to feel this for the rest of my life, I'm going to kill myself. And sometimes I still kind of get into that, and I have to kind of work my way out, and I have strategies where help work myself out. So yeah, it may take time, but it is possible, and I just believe for you it's possible too. I believe it's possible for every single person on this earth. So yeah, to, you know, deal with our negative experiences and move towards positive, no matter what it is. So thanks so much for watching. I am really grateful you made it all the way to the end. Please consider subscribing and liking, maybe giving a little comment. It really helps me, it really keeps me going, to be honest, when people are watching and like vibing and, you know, getting something positive out of this. If you want more specialized help, I have like a whole course about developing your roadmap and knowing, you know, how to deal with your negative experiences, how to change your body with science, you know, how to move towards positive experiences, hundreds of coping skills and things like that to help you on your journey. My goal with it is to help any single person that shows up for that, you know, be able to never question again what their next path is and know exactly what they need to do in order to heal and move towards happiness and joy, fulfillment. So if that's of interest to you, you can check out my stuff in the description. You can watch my webinar that kind of explains my process for moving all this a lot more, and how to sign up for the course. And if not, if you're just here to vibe, that's okay too, and I'm really grateful to have you here. So I will see you in the next one.